He needed to be in the ground. Put his where he supposed to be.
May 9th, 2005. A 28-year-old young Jeezy would drop his audacious diss track directed to Gucci Mane, titled Stay Strapped, calling him a bitch and even proclaiming Gucci Mane's own mother knew he was a pussy. At the end of the song, he would let it be known that he would pay anyone $10,000 if they could rob Gucci Mane of his So Icy chain and bring it to him. 10 days following Jeezy's bounty on Gucci Mane's So Icy chain, lyrics on diss records would unfortunately turn into gun violence, as on the night of May 19th, a mere 10 days following Jeezy's diss track, Stay Strapped, Gucci Mane would visit prostitute's apartment in Decatur, Georgia. 4 men in black clothing would knock at the door with the female conveniently letting them in. They would then immediately run up on Gucci Mane, punch him in the mouth, threaten to shoot him, and pistol whip the female in her own apartment.
He visited a young lady, went over to her place. She was there, he was there. At one point, she opened up a door. 5 guys come running in.
Are y'all seriously sending 5 people in the house to try to kill this man?
One of them had green tape, one of them had a weapon, one of them had brass knuckles and hit him with brass knuckles.
After this brief yet violent altercation, one of the 4 men would yell, "Shoot him," with Gucci Mane immediately grabbing his pistol, unloading a barrage of shots, and essentially killing Pookie Loke, whose real name was Henry Lee Clark III. I've extensively covered rappers who were involved in heinous murders on my channel, from King Von, Lil Durk, and YNW Melly, but let me present to you rappers who went on and cold-bloodedly killed black men and evaded the hands of justice. Unlike various murder cases in hip-hop that stem from gang affiliations and conflict within gang politics, the story of Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy's beef is a little different. April 13th, 2005, Gucci Mane would collaborate with Young Jeezy and give the streets their hit song, So Icy, a track all about them flaunting their expensive and eye-catching jewelry. The song was such a success upon its release, it even debuted at number 5 on the US Billboard Under 100 Singles chart, and due to the song garnering so much attention and success, it became very evident that it would catapult the career of whoever had the rights to the song. And after its release, Young Jeezy would allegedly try and buy the song of Zaytoven and Gucci Mane and have it be the lead single on his upcoming studio album, Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101. But to his disappointment, Gucci Mane and Zaytoven would decline this offer and would proceed to make So Icy as his lead single to his debut studio album, Trap House. Fueled by the bitter taste the So Icy situation left in his mouth, Jeezy would put his gangbangers on alert by dropping his diss track towards Gucci Mane titled Stay Strapped, calling Gucci Mane a claiming Gucci Mane had fake jewelry on and wasn't in fact so icy as he claimed to be, even claiming that he out-rapped him on Black Tea and on their standout collaboration, So Icy, and of course letting it be known that he would pay any one of his gangbangers $10,000 if they could rob Gucci Mane of his So Icy chain. Gucci Mane wouldn't take any slander on his name lying down, so he'd drop round 1, a rebuttal to Young Jeezy's accusations, going as far as clearing the record on the authenticity of his jewelry and stating that he was wearing drug lord Big Mitch's jewelry in the music video to So Icy, stating Jeezy is an imposter claiming to be a gangbanger and deserved an Oscar, and claiming Death Row were on the verge of dropping him due to his inability to sell records. Lyrics would soon turn into bloodshed, as on the night of May 9th, 4 men associated to Young Jeezy would get into contact with a female Gucci Mane knew in an attempt to set him up and rob him of his So Icy chain. And on that godforsaken night, according to Gucci Mane's lawyer, Gucci Mane would visit a female's apartment in Decatur, Georgia. The 4 men would storm into the apartment, pistol whip the female not to make it obvious she was involved in setting up Gucci Mane, and punch Gucci with brass knuckles, and as soon as one of the men yelled "shoot him," Gucci Mane would pull out his firearm and unload a barrage of shots towards Pookie Loke, whose government name was Henry Lee Clark III.
He visited a young lady, went over to her place. She was there, he was there. At one point, she opened up a door. 5 guys come running in.
Are y'all seriously sending 5 people in the house to try to kill this man?
One of them had green tape. One of them had a weapon. One of them had brass knuckles and hit him with brass knuckles. Didn't hit him real hard, had him wrapped up. Another guy had a weapon, hit one of the other guys with a weapon. It became a situation where he defended himself. Somebody yelled, one of the other 5 guys yelled, "shoot him," something to that effect. He grabbed a gun that was nearby and he opened fire to defend himself.
After the shots rang off, the men's survival instincts would kick in and they would run out of the apartment, fearing for their lives. A wounded Pookie Loke would run into the woods and collapse behind the Columbia Middle School in Decatur, Georgia, succumbing to his injuries and, unfortunately, passing away. Jeezy wouldn't open up about the regret he endured following Pookie Loke's passing until 2015 on his single Forgive Me, rapping about how he was never gonna snitch about what happened the night Pookie Loke died, and further elaborate about how he didn't send any of his homies to rob Gucci Mane the night Henry died. And soon after learning that he was wanted in his involvement in the murder of Pookie Loke, Gucci Mane would surrender himself to the police, pleading self-defense and stating in a phone interview following his incarceration that he in fact isn't a murderer, but in fact was a man who feared for his life and would try to turn the murder of Pookie Loke from a bad situation into a good one by selling more records from the infamy surrounding his name. And on January 2006, Gucci Mane would be acquitted of all his charges, with the district attorneys citing the cause of Gucci Mane's freedom as a lack of evidence to fully prosecute him and take him to trial. And after being acquitted, Gucci Mane would drop his diss track directed to Jeezy titled Truth, rapping about how he hopes Jeezy didn't pay any of the men who tried robbing him on that infamous night because they failed to rob him of his so icy chain, claiming Jeezy must have been mad at him because he slept with his then girlfriend and frequent collaborator Keisha Cole, and telling Jeezy that he should go dig up his dead partner Pookie Loke, and even going as far as savagely performing the song in his face years later when he and Jeezy did a verses in 2020, vehemently rapping this gut-wrenching line, "Go dig up your dead partner, I bet he can't say
Go dig your partner up, I bet he can't say shit."
And if that in and of itself wasn't enough, he'd rap about how he believed his house was haunted by the ghost of Pookie in his 2022 Lil Durk assisted track, Rumors.
Did I think my house is haunted? Yeah, by who the ghost of Pookie?
Our next story takes us to Baton Rouge. While in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, the Louisiana rap game was slowly losing its spark, with Soulja Slim getting gunned down in his hometown, C-Murder being indicted for the murder of 16-year-old Steve Thomas, and mainstream chart-topping duo Lil Wayne and Birdman moving to Miami, Florida after Hurricane Katrina. The scene was slowly dying down, but that wasn't until Baton Rouge legend Boosie Badazz decided to get into the booth and make a name for himself in the music scene, dropping tracks like Set It Off, Beat It Up, and Wipe Me Down featuring Webby and Fox, firmly catapulting him into the music scene. But similar to a lot of rappers who have one foot planted in the music business and another firmly planted in the streets, with Boosie, a slew of legal issues would cast a dark cloud over his rap career. On October 22nd, 2009, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's deputy would pull Boosie's car to a halt and search the vehicle. They would retrieve marijuana and a Glock 45. He'd plead guilty to the marijuana and gun charges and would be sentenced to 2 years in prison. But Boosie would have criminal charges threatening his freedom, and while on house arrest on October 2009, prosecutors allege Boosie paid one Marlo Mike $2,800 to drive to Vermilion Drive and murder 28-year-old Terry Boyd. When the gunman got into the interrogation room, he would tell detectives that Boosie paid him $2,800 to shoot and kill Terry Boyd, who they were embroiled in a turf war with back in Baton Rouge.
District Attorney Hiller Moore says it's quite possible Lil Boosie is connected to a string of murders. Police recently arrested 9 men for the deaths of 6 others. Police say Boosie is part of this web. One other name stands out. 17-year-old Michael Loudon is the only one charged with each murder.
You always have a head guy, and you find these little youngsters that you can roll by and give a couple of dollars to, and then, oh, I got the job.
He says Boosie even alluded to this in his song. Make no love in my body, or the mic up in the backseat.
And on June the 17th, 2010, federal investigators would swiftly take Boosie into custody and would lock him up in death row while awaiting his trial. And if he was convicted for the murder of Terry Boyd, he'd be sentenced to death by lethal injection. With there being no witnesses to testify against Boosie besides the triggerman himself, when trial came around, prosecutors argued that Torrance Hatch Jr., stage name Lil Boosie, paid the gunman to cowardly shoot and kill Terry Boyd through the window, with Boyd sitting on the couch inside a house on Vermilion Drive, with the shooter, who was 17 years old at the time, being heavily swayed by the money Boosie had promised him. But Marlo Mike would retract the statements he made in the interrogation room and deny his involvement in the murder of Terry Boyd, also denying claims that Boosie paid him in his involvement for Terry Boyd's October 2009 murder.
Detective Elvin Howard, how many times did you shoot him? Marlo Mike, about 3 or 4. Howard, who gave you money? Marlo Mike, Boosie. Howard, how much? Marlo Mike, $2,800.
And regardless of federal investigators using phone records to trace Marlo Mike's whereabouts to Boosie's studio 2 hours before the murder of Terry Boyd, a tattoo inked on Marlo's body saying, "Yo Boosie, who's next?" 2 weeks after Boyd was gunned down, and while in studio with Boosie before savagely shooting and killing Terry Boyd, computer forensic experts unveiled to federal investigators that during a session, Boosie recorded a lyric for a song called 187, police code for homicide, in which he rapped, "Yo Marlo, he drive a Monte Carlo, I want the dead." 2 minutes later, the expert said Boosie rapped that he was the John Gotti of the South and added, "I want the dead today." Just before midnight, he allegedly rapped, "Please tell him that it's from Boosie when you hit up." And 8 minutes after the shooting, Boosie recorded lines for a song called Body Bag, rapping, "Curtain call, put the brains on the wall." One of Boosie's lawyers argued that some of these lyrics were recorded long before that night and they had been resampled. But nevertheless, with all the evidence prosecutors had against Boosie and Lil Mike, the star witness and triggerman who investigators assumed would be the key to Boosie's death sentence, after closing statements from prosecutors and Boosie's lawyer, the jury would deliberate for 10 minutes and come back with a non-guilty verdict, essentially letting Boosie walk a free man and beating his murder-for-hire charge and the shooting death of Terry Boyd.
Juan Andre Morrow, 9 News. You're looking at live pictures outside District Courthouse in Baton Rouge, where the jury has returned a not guilty verdict in the murder trial of Torrance Hatch, Lil Boosie. A jury of 9 women and 3 men took about an hour to come to this decision, not guilty for Boosie, who is on trial accused of hiring a hitman to kill Terry Boyd back in 2009. The verdict, though, not guilty.
My co-defendant killed 9 people.
He got convicted of that?
And admitted to it.
Wait.
He was 15.
Okay. So the murder charges that you beat,
yeah,
you're the co-defendant.
Yeah.
And he was found guilty, you were found innocent.
Yeah.
Over the same case?
Yeah.
Did he take the stand at all?
He took the stand on me. For me though.
On your behalf?
Yeah.
Okay. And
he got me indicted, but when it's time for court,
What do you mean he got you indicted? Explain.
He got me indicted. He said
you did it.
Yeah.
And then he changed his mind?
Yeah, when it was time for trial, he got on the stand and told the truth.
When he told on you initially, what did you think? This was your close friend?
Yeah, this was my son. This was I was his guardian at his fucking at school.
Wow.
I signed for him.
It's May the 29th, 2014. King Von and Big Mike are on their way to CJ's house on the 5700 block of South LaSalle Street to celebrate CJ's birthday, a good friend of Von. They are driven by Jasmine Michelle in her 2-door grey Alero, and once they arrive at the party, Von is standing on the front porch talking to CJ, mean mugging a man from the opposing gang named Carpenter. Moments later, Malcolm Stuckey walks in, who is a friend to Von's op, Carpenter, and just like that, Von took off. While leaving the party, CJ's mother, Miss Jones, would plead with Von not to start a mess in her house, with Von replying that he wasn't on that type of timing. He lied. Big Mike, Jasma, and King Von would get back into the car and drive to Parkway Gardens to grab some firearms. And after 10 minutes, they would get back into the Alero with Jasmine and head back to the party on 57th and South LaSalle. King Von would make a phone call telling a partygoer to take the kids inside. They would park the Alero a block away from LaSalle Street, and as Jasmine stayed in the car, Von and Big Mike would cut through an alley behind the house. And as soon as Carpenter and Stuckey saw King Von running towards them, they would start running in the opposite direction. As Von shouted, "Why are you running?" A barrage of shots would be fired towards the men as Big Mike hit one man in the foot and Von hit another man in the face, breaking his jaw. They would run after Malcolm Stuckey and fire multiple shots at him and then flee the scene, running back to that Alero and driving home to Parkway Gardens. The 2 victims who were hit in the foot and jaw would fortunately survive this incident. But as for Malcolm Stuckey, who would succumb to his injuries at the scene at approximately 6:09 p.m.
Following the slaying of FBG Duck in the Gold Coast on August the 14th, 2020, a mere 10 days following Duck's demise, King Von would make his way back to O-Block and distribute small O-Block chains for his hitters over in Parkway. And after having the biggest gangster disciple in the city and his most formidable rival FBG Duck gunned down in the Gold Coast, you would think King Von would shift his focus to his flourishing rap career and stay away from instigating violence. But you couldn't be further from the truth, because on November the 5th, 2020, 3 months after his hitters like Moo and C Murder assassinated Duck on Oak Street, he'd have his hitters beside him while he performed at Atlanta's Opium nightclub. Elsewhere in Atlanta, Quando Rondo and Lul Tim were filming the music video to a song he was featured on, titled The Drop. They'd be seen in a video after shooting the music video, brandishing ammunition on social media, and little did they know, one of those firearms would be used to end the life of one of Chicago's most ruthless rappers. And after the O-Blockians left Opium, they'd head to Monica Hookah Lounge, where King Von had allegedly heard that Savannah rapper Quando Rondo had been sitting inside his car in the parking lot of the Hookah Lounge. And once they got there, at around
4 a.m. November the 6th, downtown Atlanta. 4 O-Block members are trailing behind King Von as he walks towards Quando Rondo and starts assaulting him. Lul Tim jumps out, aims a pistol towards King Von and strikes him 3 times. Davon Bennett would tragically lose his life at the age of 26.
This morning on Trinity Avenue, and tonight at least 3 people are dead. CBS 46's Barmel Lyons is live tonight near where it happened. Barmel?
Yeah, Rick and Sean, according to GBI, rapper King Von and his group were at Opium nightclub before making their way here to Monaco Hookah Lounge, then to the parking lot where chaos ensued.
And after the passing of King Von, there would be an outpour of condolences coming from the rap industry, consoling Lil Durk for his loss.
I think that because of that incident, which is very unfortunate at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, it's changed everybody's lives here currently.
Real gangster get took out by like a nerd type.
Savannah OPM gang member and Quando Rondo's cousin Lil Pop would be rejoicing at the news of Von's death and telling the world at large to look up his gang OPM for the ruthless casualties they had been involved in back in Savannah, Georgia. And on February the 21st, 2021, with news of numerous BDs from Chicago wanting Quando Rondo's life ended, he would drop Soul Reaper, where he raps about someone running up on him and getting sprayed, claiming that it didn't matter who got beat up, but rather who got turned into ash. And he'd even have a Lil Durk lookalike in the video getting robbed and he'd go on IG Live rapping to his upcoming song Purple Baby and falling on the ground mocking King Von's tragic passing.
May 1993. Snoop Dogg is on the verge of firmly cementing himself as a rap legend and further catapult gangster rap into the mainstream music industry with his single off his 1993 debut studio album Doggy Style, What's My Name, Who I Am, peaking at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. And while in the midst of recording his said debut studio album on August 25th, 1993, Snoop Dogg heard commotion outside the apartment he was living in, located in the Palms, West Los Angeles, and his bodyguard McKinley Lee went outside in an effort to tone down the commotion. He'd be met by a gangload of Hustle By Yourself Crips taunting Snoop Dogg's friend Sean Abrams. Now, if you're asking yourself why a well-known Crip gang member Snoop Dogg would have to walk outside his apartment and witness a bunch of Crips taunting his friends, well, it's because Snoop Dogg was well known to be affiliated with neighborhood Crips in the south side of LA, and generally, neighborhood and hustler Crips aren't friendly as they don't have an alliance with each other. And not only that, but one of the men in the car consisting of the gangload of hustler Crips outside Snoop Dogg's apartment was 20-year-old Ethiopian immigrant Philip Woldemariam, with Philip telling Snoop Dogg and his entourage, "I'm not trying to sweat y'all, I'm just trying to let y'all know where you're at." Not to mention, Philip Woldemariam is the same individual who allegedly brandished and aimed a pistol towards Snoop Dogg at a recent video shoot. The altercation would de-escalate and the man would drive off, leaving a young and violent Snoop Dogg likely a little concerned about his safety in West Los Angeles. Nevertheless, on that same day of August 25th, Snoop Dogg would have his bodyguard McKinley Lee accompany him to a park in the Palms district of Los Angeles, where again, lo and behold, he would run into Philip Woldemariam and his Crip entourage, with Snoop Dogg and his bodyguard allegedly just staring at Philip and his gang, with the Ethiopian immigrant yelling to Snoop, "Oh, what? I'm a punk now?" With eyewitnesses claiming Snoop Dogg's bodyguard yelled, "What?" in response before pulling out his pistol and gunning down Philip Woldemariam several times before Snoop Dogg drove the Jeep Cherokee away, essentially fleeing the scene and leaving Philip Woldemariam to succumb to his injuries and die at the scene.
I'm sorry. And all of a sudden, the bushes flooded, and you see somebody run out of the bushes. He runs and he tries to, he gets to his guy. His guy grabs him. He's like, no. He pushes him away. But when he pushes, he lifts his shirt and reaches. But soon, when I saw him start to reach, that's when I took my gun and fired.
And now that his trial is over, he's finally able to speak his mind about the feelings and emotions he had during this long case.
Make sure y'all get my death row sentence. Civilization. Pull yours out, D-Case. I couldn't wear it through court. I had to keep it up under my tie. Now court is over.
We, the jury in above entitled action, find the defendant, Calvin Brodus, not guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree.
I'm curious, what was going through your mind at the time that the jury was reading the verdict?
I left it in God's hand, Abby. That's why I looked so stone-faced. I didn't have no expressions, you know what I'm saying? It was all in her. I prayed on it. My family prayed on it. David Kenner, you know what I'm saying, put on the bomb case. Donald Ray, Marsha Morrissey, Paul Palladino, the whole dream team. They did what they were supposed to do, and they gave the baton to the jury, and I couldn't do nothing but just bank on them and worry about what the outcome was going to be, as far as to just sit there and hold my position and keep my head up high and just, you know, wait for the outcome.